Big changes might be coming to the housing market, and they could affect everything from mortgage rates to home prices, even where new homes are built. President Trump's recent executive orders are, of course, creating headlines. And whether you're buying, selling, or just curious, you need to know how this could impact your real estate plans in 2025. Stick around because today we're going to break it all down, the good, the bad, and what it means for you. I'm Jen from the Jen Collins Group, your local guide and real estate expert here in the East Bay. Today we're diving into a topic that's been buzzing in the news: President Trump's recent executive orders and what they could mean for the housing market. Now, I know politics is a really hot button issue, and while many people have strong opinions, I want to preface today's video by saying today's focus is strictly on housing policies. My goal is to share facts, outline some pros and cons, and most importantly, help you understand how this might impact you. I want to add that I don't typically jump into political discussions, and this is my first, probably only, politically related video. So if you do choose to make a comment, I just ask that you please keep it respectful. Let's start by discussing the current U.S. housing market and three major factors that are playing into the current crisis. First, we are experiencing a crisis of inventory. The National Association of Realtors stated that we currently have a shortage of about 4 million homes in our country, which has been compounded over many years through a lack of new construction and ongoing population growth. Additionally, over 60% of homeowners have a mortgage interest rate in the 3% range and are therefore hesitant to give up that rate and sell their home. Next, the skyrocketing prices that we experienced during COVID remain high. Some areas have seen a little softening, but not back to pre-COVID prices. And finally, the current mortgage rates in the high 6 to low 7% range make affordability a real challenge for buyers. In this video, we're going to review 6 of Trump's initiatives as they relate to housing. The first is increasing housing supply. Trump wants to open underutilized federal lands for residential development. This will have a bigger impact in the western states, where about 46% of land is federally owned. The idea here is that by opening up these areas for development, more housing will be built. Some pros to this plan could be that once the housing inventory is available, more inventory could help lower prices. But the cons include that the rural location of these homes may not be in desirable areas near jobs and amenities for buyers, and this plan could take years to see an impact due to the amount of time it takes to build new developments. Which brings me to our next initiative: deregulation. Trump is trying to reduce regulatory barriers for new construction, including zoning laws, environmental restrictions, and safety codes. Essentially, the government is trying to make it easier and less costly for builders to build new homes. Local zoning laws can be a major bottleneck for new housing developments. In fact, in some cities, single-family zoning accounts for up to 75% of residential land. Trump's policies aim to challenge these restrictive practices by incentivizing states and municipalities to loosen their grip. But here's the catch: housing is a deeply local issue, and while federal incentives can nudge, the real power still lies with local governments. Local governments often prioritize the preferences of existing residents over the needs of new ones, and federal incentives may not be enough to change that dynamic. It's a delicate balance between respecting local autonomy and addressing a national crisis. Plus, bringing more inventory to the market can be a double-edged sword. A pro would be that it could help alleviate some of the inventory shortages we've been dealing with. If you've been house hunting recently, you know how competitive it can get. More homes on the market could ease that pressure. On the other hand, the cons are that increased inventory could moderate some home price growth. For sellers, that means you might not see some of the rapid appreciation that's been the norm over the past few years. But for buyers, it's a sign that you might not have to stretch your budget big as far. It's all about balance. If we get it right, we could see a more stable, sustainable market that benefits everyone. Another con is that deregulation could lead to lower quality construction and potentially environmental concerns. Next is Trump's immigration policies and then how they relate to housing, which is also a complex issue. Trump links housing undocumented workers with increased housing costs because it drives up demand for housing. His plan calls for banning mortgage access to undocumented immigrants to allow more housing for citizens and legal residents. Obviously, the pro here is that this plan could limit competition and make housing more accessible to citizens and legal residents. But here's where it gets really complex. And the cons are that many of these undocumented workers make up the construction workforce. So disrupting that workforce by reinstating stringent immigration policies, including mass deportations and border security measures, could lead to labor shortages in industries that rely on immigrant workers, such as construction, which could then lead to higher prices for housing. A reduced labor force may slow down housing projects, exacerbating the existing supply and demand imbalance already in the housing market. This could lead to increased construction costs and longer project timelines, affecting both availability and the affordability of new homes. Trump also wants to reduce mortgage rates, but that's not entirely within his control. If we do see a reduction in rates in the coming months, for buyers, that could mean an opportunity to lock in more affordable financing. For sellers, that could mean that more buyers come into the market and create potentially more demand, thereby driving prices higher. We'll continue to closely monitor mortgage rates and their impact on our local market. Trump also wants to enact tariffs on building materials. These tariffs could amount to a 10 to 20% increase for goods, and even more for goods from China, which will likely get passed down to the consumer, further increasing prices. The pros here are that tariffs attempt to protect domestic industries and promote job growth within the US. This could be good for out-of-work job seekers, but tariffs could also lead to higher prices for consumers, whether that's on appliances or lumber, and translate then to higher prices for new homes. Another initiative is that Trump has stated that he wants to provide support for first-time homebuyers, but we're not aware yet of what this could look like. It may be tax credits or relaxed lending terms, but there are very few details about this plan yet. A pro could be that this would boost home ownership and help create wealth for homeowners. But the con is that because we don't know much yet about how he plans to do this, the impact is still very uncertain. Let's zoom out for just a moment and talk about the broader implications of these policies. The housing market doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's tied to jobs, wages, and the overall economy. Policies that lower borrowing costs and promote building can stimulate economic growth, which is a net positive for communities. But there's always a flip side. Critics argue that some of these measures might disproportionately benefit larger developers or wealthier buyers, leaving first-time buyers and lower-income families still struggling to compete. Housing availability and affordability is a complex and multifaceted challenge. We continue to have low inventory not only from the existing housing shortage, but also from sellers holding on to low interest rates. And we have pent-up demand from buyers who want to buy but can't afford to do so in today's marketplace. We need a change in supply through more construction and a change in demand through lower interest rates. Additionally, if we do get lower interest rates, that may further help supply, as more sellers who've been waiting to sell so that they can buy something else could also finally put their home on the market, which could lead to a more balanced market. Of course, if any of these changes happen too quickly, increased inventory or lower interest rates, we could see a negative impact on the market. It really is a balancing act for lawmakers and consumers. One thing I always remind my clients is that the best time to buy or sell is when it makes sense for you. Market conditions are important, but so are your personal circumstances. Are you ready for the financial commitment of homeownership? Is your current home no longer meeting your needs, and would your lifestyle improve by selling? These are questions that truly matter, and we're here to help you navigate them with ease. I hope this episode has helped you understand the new administration's housing policies and how they may impact you this year and beyond. I'd love to hear what you think. Are these policies a game changer, or do you think it's just business as usual? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Just remember to please keep them respectful and focused on housing. And if you're in the East Bay and want to talk about how these changes could affect your plans, please reach out. I'm always here to help. Thanks so much again for watching. I'm Jen Collins, your local guide and real estate expert here in the East Bay. We're here to help you find a home and a community you love. I appreciate you spending some time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.